Is this fragrance the ultimate representation of Amouage's past? I'm not really sure about that. Let's find out together. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel, today we're talking fragrances, and this is a practical review of Amouage Reasons. These reviews are for fragrances that I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears in many situations, and are meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances, but I don't really like to go into details about notes and accords, as I don't think that they help the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. Here we are, many months after the initial release, finally talking about the last of the trio of fragrances that launched the SS's collection. This one here is Reasons. This is actually the first fragrance that I got from the SS's collection. I blind bought this as soon as the SS's collection came live, and this is actually the first one that I featured on this channel as an unboxing and first impressions. Featuring this thing last was definitely not a conscious decision. It sort of came naturally. Actually, to be completely honest, I was kind of trying to avoid talking about this because this is a very difficult fragrance to talk about. It's difficult not because the fragrance is too complex, but it's because despite liking this fragrance a lot and despite putting in a lot of wears, it still kind of leaves me puzzled at times. Sometimes very confidently, I think that I totally understand the thing. Some other times I feel that the concept of this is just slightly out of reach, slightly out of grasp. And it's so frustrating because those times I really struggle to put thoughts into words. So I said, the hell with it, let me just sit in front of the camera. I bet the camera will bring clarity. So here we are, let's dive into the review. And despite everything, Reasons is a very special fragrance to me because it really symbolizes change. Not necessarily in Amouage terms, although it also symbolizes change for them. It symbolizes a completely new trajectory, but it symbolizes change to me because I got it in a period of heavy change in my life. This is a particular fragrance. It's not easy to understand at all. It's actually fairly disappointing when you first smell it. It's fairly disappointing, especially considering the expectations of a brand like Amouage. But then as you get to know the fragrance, as you put in more and more wears, as you slowly get to explore the depth of ingredients, this fog kind of lifts, really putting the focus on the fragrance, really bringing clarity to the picture. This fragrance represents a new age for Amouage. Like it or not, fortunately or unfortunately, it is what it is. But this one here, in my opinion, perfectly represents what the Essences collection is. And I really don't want to go over this once again, but the Essences collection really represents a gear shift for Amouage. It's a brand new collection in a very, very long time. A collection that was fairly decisive. Newcomers to the brand seemed to appreciate it, especially Atlan's, which was definitely the standout from the collection. But long-term fans were really kind of upset about it because, again, it defines Amouage in a completely different way. It removes a lot of edginess from Amouage. Many were pointing a disdainful finger at this collection, saying that it was a gimmick, and basically saying that it represented the death of Amouage as a brand. I have mixed feelings, some I will share, but ultimately I do not think that this is a true statement. I own all four of the Essences collections. I do appreciate these fragrances. They're just different. They just need to be understood. On the surface, upon first impression, with the exception of Outlands, these do not have that wow factor. They don't leave you excited. They're not exhilarating. These are fragrances which, if smelled in a shop, will leave you kind of puzzled. You'll smell them and think, yeah, they're good. They're very, very smooth. They smell high quality, but they're maybe a little bit too boring for me. And this is especially true for Reasons. These fragrances, Reasons, luster, and to an extent even reception, are made to be savored slowly. They're meant to be taken in at a slower pace. If you're willing to do that, you'll be understanding what these are all about. You'll be understanding the effort that has gone into these. And if you have not watched any of my videos covering the Essences collection, let me just very, very quickly recap what this is all about. The Essences collection is basically Amouage's attempt at innovation, at bringing craftsmanship and artisanal quality to fragrances, something which is above what they do already. I think that their intention was to slow down the manufacturing process, bring in a more hands-on approach, and just emphasize a more old-school analog feel. And obviously, fragrance making is completely analog. There's nothing digital about it. But in today's day and age, a lot of synthetic compounds come across as sterile and soulless, almost digital to a degree. And the special sandalwood infusion used for this collection, although not traditional at all because it really has been used in perfumery before, is there, in my opinion, to really represent high-end craftsmanship. It's there to represent artisanal attention to detail, almost to an unnecessary degree. And here my thoughts sort of come in because I totally understand how this can be seen as a gimmick. I think it's pretty objective to say that Amouage could have achieved the same thing, the same effect, the same output smell, by just adding ingredients to their fragrances. Maybe a very high-end, high-quality sandalwood oil, maybe a little bit of a smoky note to really simulate the maceration and maturation of the sandalwood in the ethanol. This is a cool fragrance. It's a cool process. I really admire the innovation, but all of this comes to a cost to the customer. That's also objective. That being said, if you consider all of these things, and if you see the Essences collection as the ultimate no-compromise fragrance making process, it starts kind of to make sense. This is ultimately a very luxury product from a luxury brand, and it costs a lot. And if you're looking for that no-compromise products, these are those. I'm starting to see more and more the Essences collection like this. I'm thinking that this is actually a showcase of Amouage's manufacturing prowess. The Essences collection is basically representing the concept of a necessary attention to detail. And if you're one of those die-hard utilitarian fragrance consumers that is willing to sacrifice the bottle in order to bring the price down, the reality is that this whole line is really not for you. Despite the fragrances, despite the fragrance juice, despite the smells, actually come to think about it, the smells also kind of represent the line. They represent unnecessary attention to detail in fragrance form. They totally represent the concept of diminishing returns, even in terms of quality of ingredients. This is a no compromise line. If you're into that, you will be appreciating the fragrances for what they truly are. I'm just realizing that this last statement might have come across as a little bit passive-aggressive. I absolutely did not mean it like that. I'm just saying that in order to really understand the Essences collection, you have to put yourself into the shoes of a luxury fragrance buyer, someone that does not want any compromise whatsoever. This is not for everyone. It's not a product for everyone. It's not a line for everyone. It's a line for those who want to wear something extremely high-end that smells absolutely amazing, but also that smells subtle. The reality is that these are not too innovative scent-wise. They might represent innovation manufacturing-wise, and again, detail-wise, but perfume-wise, these are fairly mainstream. But back to Amouage Reasons and to my thoughts of me not really fully understanding what this fragrance is all about, not really grasping the concept of this fragrance. The first trio of Amouage essences were there to represent 3 time periods for Amouage: the past, the present, and the future. Luster was the present, Outlands was the future. I already covered this in those respective reviews, but this one here is meant to represent the past, and I just can't connect the dots. I have no idea why this is representing the past. I just can't fathom why something like this would be representing the past, specifically the past of Amouage. The past of Amouage really never smelled like this. Previous fragrances from the brand were always considered edgy, very innovative, very, very creative. This is mild, it's creamy, it's soothing, it's very, very warm. So I don't know what the reasoning is, pun intended. Even the name of the fragrance itself, Reasons, does not resonate with me at all. I have no idea which reasons they're talking about. And this is coming from a person that really likes Amouage's naming convention. They have simple names, yes, but they're easy to interpret, they're easy to make your own, and they always kind of hint at what the fragrance is about. But Reasons leaves me completely puzzled. As I was saying, despite your personal opinion on how creative the thing is, it's definitely not edgy. It's very smooth. It's very warming. This kind of smells like a chai latte. It's very, very beautiful. I like it a lot. I love wearing it. It's almost like a daily wear. In my opinion, it's a great signature scent, but it's smooth. It's very, very subtle. It's very timid. It's very mass appealing. This is really great. And it's perfumed by one of my favorite perfumers ever, Bertrand Ducheffour. I have to be completely honest, I don't really get his full DNA in this creation, but I do get a little bit of his touches here and there, and that's enough. I truly like this fragrance. But we're going to talk about the scent profile and wear experience after we cover the presentation. When it comes to presentation, I've talked about these fragrances before. I really like them. I think they're super cool. They're extremely high quality, and they perfectly represent what I was saying before, the unnecessary attention to detail. These fragrances are amazing, especially when seen in person, especially when held in your hand. Yes, they don't really render super well in pictures and videos. They kind of look like shampoo bottles, but in hand, when you pick them up, all the quality really emerges. These are pretty much no compromise bottles. They're super, super high end. I really like them a lot. The only aspect that I'm not super fond of is the cap. Let's just get that right out of the way. The cap is plastic. It is weighty. It does feel extremely well made. The plastic is definitely high quality. On top, you get a little engraving. You even get a crown inside. The cap is magnetized with a very strong magnet, which is super satisfying to put on. It's a joy to use. All that said, it's still a little bit of a jarring tactile difference from the rest of the bottle, which instead comes across as cold, ceramic, pristine, precise, solemn. I just in general really like to look at the bottles. They almost look like a prop from the movie Dune. They have this desert vibe. They look like carved from a piece of stone. They have a beautiful haptic. They feel great in the hand. They have a perfect size. I also like the fact that they're satin finished and they hide fingerprints like no other bottle. They're incredibly well made. Again, pretty much no compromise on that. The atomizer from the SSS collection is also an upgrade from the usual Amouage. Let's give this a couple sprays, maybe even 3. I've been wearing this as my scent of the day. It's absolutely beautiful. This is such an easy wear. You can wear it in the office, you can wear it day to night. It's just super likable, very, very mass appealing. It's creamy, it's substantial, it has a lot of body, but it doesn't invade anyone's space. It's just cuddly, comforting, creamy, and warm. So sophisticated, so detailed, so many nuances to uncover. It's a beautiful scent profile, objectively. Another interesting thing about the atomizer is tied to the fact that these bottles are designed to be refillable. The atomizer just screws off and it just comes off. It's really weird, it's really jarring. And this actually makes buying these secondhand a little bit more risky because you never know if they've been tampered with, if the liquid has been diluted. You don't know anything. This is akin to something like the Profumo Roma bottles, which I never buy secondhand unless from very respectable, very trusted resources. Going back to the presentation, as I was saying before, these feature an uncompromising level of detail, of quality. Everything is pristine. There's absolutely no signs of manufacturing, no imperfections whatsoever. Again, they're expensive, so they better be like that. The labeling is incredible. It's beautifully stuck on. It just feels really, really solid and high quality. The uncompromising and unnecessary attention to detail continues with one of the quirks from this collection found on the bottom of these bottles. This metal plaque, which was designed by a watchmaker, featuring basic information usually found on a sticker. Again, it's so unnecessary. It's beautiful, it's incredibly well made, but it's very much unnecessary. I think that one of the original ideas was to give the possibility to showcase these fragrances horizontally on the shelf, resembling a barrel, again, hinting at that infusion process, and also giving the ability to really showcase this medallion, this plaque on the bottom, which is objectively beautiful. The fragrance would not even roll off because of their shape, and yeah, I think it's a cool concept, but who does that? I would never showcase these fragrances horizontally myself, maybe because I'm a little bit fearful of leaking given the fact that the cap just screws off, but also because the bottles would just look super weird among the other bottles which are all standing up. So yeah, definitely not a feature for me. One last thing that I forgot to mention about this bottom plaque is that they're all unique, meaning that each fragrance showcases a different design. And the one for Reason kind of looks like wave propagation. It almost looks like the pattern that would happen by throwing a stone into a pond and these waves rippling across the surface of the pond. I think it's meant to symbolize the effect of the past on the other times, like the present and the future. So it's like rippling through time. I'm not really sure if that's the intent. Again, I'm not really connecting the dots for why Reasons is the past, but we'll get to that when we're talking about the scent profile. Before closing off the presentation section, I just wanted to touch upon price and value for money. As I was saying before, these are very, very expensive at retail. I think they go for around $450 to $500. It really depends on your country. I think I paid 450 euros for each. So yeah, not for the faint of heart. I bought them all at retail because I ordered them as soon as they were announced. That's on me. But the good news is that these are now widely available at discounters, especially Reasons and Luster, and can be had for a significant price drop. The lowest I've seen these go are for about $200, which is absolutely amazing, especially considering how high quality they come across, because they really do come across as high quality. They are fairly unique as a product itself. They're very expensive, and having them at that price, I think it's kind of worth it. Ultimately, you have to make your own evaluations though, because these are in general considered fairly faint, fairly subtle, and very, very smooth. And if you're used to the Amouage bombastic scents, these might not be for you. All right, it's time to talk about the scent profile and wear experience for Amouage Reasons. What does this actually smell like? To me, this is a very comforting, warm sandalwood scent. It's very, very creamy. It's very smooth. It definitely has some woody aspects, which I really like. And this, in my opinion, is one of the ultimate signature scents that Amouage has to offer. It's very much super functional day to day, even during the day, despite its warmness. And the warmness comes from the creaminess. It comes from the sandalwood. It comes from the general construction of the fragrance. It has a lot of bass, but it's still fairly timid. It's very, very subtle. It doesn't invade anyone's space and has a very moderate sillage and projection. You can smell it all day because you get whiffs all day. It has a great longevity, but it's not a room filler at all. This is not a statement maker. And this is the most important part of this fragrance. It's not a statement maker. Hilariously enough, even on the official Amouage website, they kind of describe this as a grower and not a shower. Outlands, in this case, being definitely the shower. When you first spray this on, you are met with this very creamy, mild sensation. And you're like, is this it? Is this all the fragrance? Because it really doesn't project off the bat. This has a very bad first impression. You really have to wear this a lot to really understand its development and what it has to offer. And I kind of have to agree that this becomes more intense over time. Or rather, it's not that it becomes more intense, it's that the more intense part of the fragrances start showing their head. As that blanketing creaminess starts fading, you start perceiving a lot more of those green notes, those woody notes, a lot of those edgy notes. The fragrance becomes much more smoky in the dry down. It doesn't necessarily have an incense, not a very detectable incense, but it definitely has this wispy smoke feeling. It's very, very beautiful, and I thoroughly enjoy the dry down. The dry down especially, actually. The opening can totally be seen as interesting, no doubt about it. It's just me that I'm not really into creamy lactonic notes, and I'm just not into the nutty, buttery texture that the thing has. The opening of this actually kind of reminds me of BDK's Gris Charnel. It has a very similar chai latte feel, and I've also mentioned this in my unboxing first impressions, and I can totally second that impression. This, upon initial sprays, reminds me of a very lukewarm cappuccino, like a lukewarm chai latte, like a tea with milk in it. It's very beige in color. It's very light brown. It's lukewarm because, again, it has this blanketing feeling, but it's not steaming hot. It's not piping hot. It's not cold either. It's just lukewarm. And in my opinion, for me personally, the opening is actually the worst part of the scent. It just comes across as a little bit undecisive. It comes across as they're trying to blanket out all of the edginess of the fragrance. They're trying to appease too many people, too wide of an audience. They're trying to make the scent too unisex, too mass appealing, and too timid and subtle. I tend to like fragrances with a lot more decisiveness, with a great personality and character. And paradoxically, even if I don't like the fragrance off the bat, a great personality really prompts me to dig in, to really investigate what's going on. And this one here is a little bit difficult. I have to admit that I thought that this was a little bit more edgy at the start. I'm not really sure what happened, if the fragrance matured, if it's smoothed out. But upon initial sprays now, I'm not too thrilled. I know what the fragrance is, I know how it develops, so it's okay. But upon initially spraying, this is not one of those fragrances that really excites me. It doesn't bring a sparkle in my eye. It doesn't dilate my pupils, as I say. I think that what is making the scent very creamy in the opening is this distinct hazelnut note, which is featured in the note breakdown, together with a very, very prominent sandalwood, which permeates the scent profile top to bottom. I don't usually like talking about notes, but in this case specifically, the hazelnut, to me at least, is very detectable. I'm not a huge fan of hazelnut, I have to admit. It has a little bit of a bitter aftertaste. There's something in the hazelnut flavor which coats my mouth and it dries it out. And the scent has the same sort of feeling to my nose, because this creaminess is like a blanket, like a furry blanket into my nose. It's not bad, it's not unpleasant, but it just mutes out everything else. And as this hazel note starts toning off, the scent just starts breathing. You start picking up on the beautiful green notes, which have a distinct licorice sort of feel, like very anisic. I think it's Davana, I think it's Artemisia, I think it's the same thing. I'm not really sure, but it has a distinct sort of a camphorous, mentholated, licorice-y aspect. I really like it. It's the most beautiful part of the fragrance, and it's actually the thing that really develops the fragrance dynamic range on the top. I never really experienced a fragrance that gets bigger, that gets more airy, that really branches out as the scent dries down. This one here is very unique in this aspect. I like the dry down a lot. I would say mid-dry down is the best moment of this fragrance because, again, that nuttiness, that creaminess is almost gone, and you get a lot of smokiness, you get a lot of green notes, you get a lot of that woody aspect. The woodiness in here is kind of reminding me of Amouage Timber that I got recently. Actually, it's Timber, which is reminding me of this because of chronological order, obviously. But the woodiness in here has a distinct graininess. It has a nice texture. You can really pick up on the fibers of this sandalwood. And sandalwood is a tightly packed wood. It's very, very dense. It's very compact, and you can definitely see the texture and the grain of the sandalwood in here. The woodiness in here is very, very high quality. It smells natural. It's incredibly well portrayed, almost to a photorealistic degree. I'm not necessarily sure if the quality of the woodiness is dependent on sandalwood infusion, but hey, This is one of the best sandalwood representations from the Essences line. And in my opinion, Reasons is the best representation of the Essences line. It's the best representation of what they were trying to do with sandalwood. When I think about the scent evolution of this and how the fragrance transitions in time, I just cannot help but imagine the volumes of these audio channels. Some go up, some go down, everything just readjusts. And it's weird because this creaminess, as I said, it just starts fading off. The smokiness increases and the woodiness also kind of increases. The greenness initially increases and then it starts fading off again. Ultimately, in the dry down, you are left with this dry, ashy, smoky wood. It's very, very beautiful. All creaminess is gone and it just comes across as simple. Simple, direct, and fine nuanced. Simple is a word that I really connect to this fragrance. It's a simple scent profile. All of the Essences collection, in my opinion, are simple at heart. Again, even Outlands may come across as more dynamic, more complex, but at heart, it's a very simply constructed fragrance. And this one here is definitely not shy about being simple, not even its luster, but this one is constructed in such a comforting, predictable way. It's really, really reassuring. It's just so planted, so confident in what it is. I like this fragrance a lot. Again, it wears like a warm blanket. It has this mantle feeling, but a mantle that you can also wear in the summer. The wear experience for this is absolutely amazing. I really, really like it. It's very, very predictable. It sticks around a long time. Again, it opens up a little bit underwhelming, and this is mainly due to expectations because most fragrances open up very, very strong. But as the scent dries down, it becomes better and better and better. And the volume basically stays the same. I would say this is very linear. It's very predictable. Again, reassuring. This just wears like a cape, like a very cozy protective cape guarding your back. This thing here is signature scent material, and I put in so many wears. It's almost a dumb reach at this point. I put it on to feel good, to feel enveloped in this wispy white smoke. It feels great. And along the ride, I get exposed to all the beautiful facets of wood, all of those textures, those grains, those fibers. It's so well portrayed, so well depicted. It has so much density within the single ingredient. And that Davana, that Artemisia really makes the fragrance, in my opinion. Without it, this would have been so insanely bland, but that licorice note, which adds a little bit of a herbaceous feel, really makes the fragrance, in my opinion. But now some practicalities for Amouage Reasons, starting off with performance. As I just said, the overall performance and wear experience for this is really exceptional. It's incredibly well tailored. The scent just sticks around for a super long time. It's not a shouty scent, it's not bold, it's actually quite timid and subtle, but it's not fleeting. I get really good longevity. I get about 8 to 9 hours of very detectable wear. And given the fact that this scent is fairly mid and base heavy, it just sticks around. It just wafts in and out like a dense fog, like a wispy white smoke. I can easily detect it down in the dry down. Unfortunately, the opening is a little bit disappointed. You have to definitely go into this knowing what it is, otherwise you will be probably put off. When you first spray this on, you get that creaminess. It's not room filling, it's very, very subtle. You almost have to dig your nose into your arm to even detect the fragrance. It's a little bit unfortunate, but again, it's a grower, it's not a shower, and it develops a lot. It's really beautiful, but it's definitely not for everyone. I can see how a lot of reviewers say that this is subtle, that it's faint, that it doesn't project, that it's weak. It's not weak. It sticks around. It just develops in a different way from other scents. When it comes to actual versatility in use cases, given all that we said, I do consider Reasons very versatile and wearable. It's just very functional and beautiful. It covers you like a cape. I just can't detach from this image. You can just wear this in pretty much every situation, day or night, casual to elegant, work or leisure. It's just always there for you. It's very, very solid, very confidence inspiring. And maybe they were referring to this aspect when pinning Reasons to the past, because fragrances in the past were designed to be like a one fragrance, to be worn every time. Maybe they were referring to that aspect, or maybe I'm just reading through the lines. In any case, this is supremely functional. It's very beautiful, has nothing stinky about it whatsoever. It comes across as mass appealing, likable. Again, it's subtle. This is a personal scent. You come across as clean, refined. You come across as someone who's wearing something high quality. It has a lot of elegance. It has a lot of classiness, sophistication, but also a very underrated casualness. Again, you can wear this in pretty much every situation with any outfit. I don't think that it's super functional for everyone because you really have to be in the mood for this sort of fragrance. But if you want something subtle, if you want something timid, something that is kind of recalling woodiness, this one here might be the one. Demographics wise, despite the SS's collection really trying its best to come across as unisex as possible, in my opinion, Reasons leans a little bit masculine. Maybe it's the Davana, maybe it's the woodiness, maybe it's the smokiness, but it comes across as subtly masculine. I would not say distinctly masculine because, again, it's creamy, it's very soft, it's very timid, but it has a more masculine connotation to it. It's absolutely fine. I do think that this could be worn by more feminine personalities, but you have to embrace the more natural aspect of it. You have to see it as a sandalwood scent. When it comes to age, though, I would definitely refrain from recommending this to a younger audience. It's just not that type of fragrance. Again, it opens up subtle, way too subtle for a younger audience. Younger audiences want a bombastic opening. They want excitement. That's why Outlands is so popular. This thing here is really not for that. This is for the person that understands that fragrances go beyond the opening, that might develop a lot better beyond the opening. If you're that type of person and this scent profile sounds appealing, you could probably pull this off at any age with zero issues. It just comes across as high class, high quality. It's a niche fragrance at heart, and this thing really delivers on this front. Imagery and narration is usually where Amouage shines, but the Essences collection is a little bit different. I'm not really sure why, but I get nothing from the collection. These fragrances are more perfumey in nature. I think that these are designed more to be an ode to the ingredients, maybe sandalwood specifically, and Reasons, despite it being woody, which is usually very evocative to me, really tells me nothing. I get no image, no story, no narration, no nothing. I wear this as a pure perfume. I put this on because it makes me feel good, because it relaxes me, because it gives me that secure cape, but nothing else. It has no narration whatsoever, and this is kind of sad. I think that Amouage kind of dropped the ball on these because they had the unique opportunity to really showcase the story of sandalwood, maybe its evolution, and maybe the way it's applied or used. But in this case specifically, these are statement pieces as far as ingredients go, as far as perfumery go, but as far as narration, I get nothing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, this is massively wearable. It's very, very easy to pull on. You don't really have to worry about anything. You just put it on, push it into the background, and go about your day. In that case specifically, it works a treat. All right, time to talk about some options for my reviewed fragrance. In the case of Amouage Reasons, I really wanted to leverage subtle, creamy scents, which are very, very polite, yet sophisticated. And the first one that I want to showcase is by Oman Luxury. This one here is Royal Incense. This is probably the least subtle of the bunch that I'm gonna be showcasing because the opening is very, very beautiful. It has this incredibly enveloping sweet rose note, which is really combining with the incense to bring you something incredibly special. The opening of this is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But not only the opening, the whole wear experience is really great. Oman Luxury is a brand that really delivers with its fragrances. In my opinion, they offer very high quality, especially consider the price, resulting in an amazing value for money. Nothing is overlooked. The presentation is amazing. The sprayers are amazing. Everything about the brand is truly amazing except for that name. Oman Luxury is such a lame name. It feels like they're trying to compensate. It feels like an insecure name. I really don't like it. But again, apart from that, which is fairly trivial, it doesn't really impact your fragrance experience whatsoever. Great brand, and Royal Incense, in my opinion, is one of the best fragrances from the brand. It's just very, very warm. Warm in the way it makes you feel, not necessarily in a winter sense. Actually, in my opinion, the thing really shines in the summer. It shines in the high temperature. It really blooms off the skin. It really gives you this incredible golden aura. So reassuring, so majestic, sophisticated. It's incredibly high quality. I love this scent. And after all, despite it being very, very loud and very projecting, it's still subtle in nature. It's subtle in its demeanor. It's room-filling but elegant. It's bold but quiet at the same time. Really unique stuff, highly recommended. Give this a sample if you can. The second fragrance that I want to showcase is much more in line with Reasons, the way it wears and the way it presents itself. This one here is by Meo Fusciuni and it's Sogni. This is actually surprisingly similar to Reasons in use case and overall feel. This is obviously a lot more imaginative, a lot more creative, and a lot more narrative. This is basically showcasing Meo's trip to Japan, and it represents Japan on all facets. It opens up with this very detectable, very recognizable rice accord, like steamed rice. It's so photorealistic and so recognizable that it's almost off-putting. But once this rice kind of fades off, you're being transported to an environment full of sandalwood, full of woods, full of tatami mats, full of smokiness and incense. It's absolutely beautiful. It's so calming and relaxing. And again, it's similar to Reasons in this case because it gives you this confidence. It's so planted. This scent is there for you. Meo Fusciuni is easily one of my favorite fragrance brands of all time. He's an artist, he's a poet, and his fragrances are like paintings. And each painting is a little piece of Meo, is a little piece of Giuseppe Imprezzabile. Absolutely incredible stuff. I can't stop praising the guy. I can't stop praising everything about him. His fragrances are absolutely amazing. I really like the Zen factor. They're so meditative, it's so relaxing, so evocative, so emotional. The guy himself is, I don't know, like an inspiration. He's like a genius in perfumery. And the fragrances themselves can be worn nonchalantly. You can just put them on and just enjoy them for what they are. Or they can be this emotional roller coaster. Incredible stuff. Sogni is absolutely amazing. One of the best depictions of Japan ever. And I've never been there, but I feel that this meets all my expectations of that beautiful land. Third and last option, this one here is definitely the most unknown. This is from the Saudi Arabian brand of Selcouth. This one here is Veil of Orris. This is an iris scent throughout. It's a high quality iris scent which comes across as powdery, soft, sophisticated, and classy. It also has a lot of density. The perfumer for this from Kuwait did an absolute stellar job. This comes across as dense, enveloping, very, very reassuring. Once again, in a similar way to Reasons, it feels like a cape that will protect you from the elements. It's so comforting, it's almost spiritual. In a similar way to Reasons, once again, it has the same use case, it has the same versatility, it has the same demeanor. It's subtle, it's elegant, it's sophisticated, and it's never invasive. It just lingers like a fog, and it showcases all of the aspect of iris. It comes across as powdery, creamy, a little bit earthy. It's complex in its simplicity. There's so many nuances, so many details to uncover as you wear the thing. And again, in a similar way to the Essences collection, you can easily tell that the iris in here is of the utmost quality. It's absolutely beautiful. It's almost like looking at a mountain. You're looking at it and you're wondering, how did nature create something like this? The iris has so many facets. Beautiful, beautiful stuff, and actually fairly affordable. I highly recommend you guys check out Selcouth. Underrated brand for sure. But back to Reasons for my final overview and recommendations. What do I think about this scent? Well, you know what I'm thinking about this scent. I love Amouage. I'm a sucker for the brand. There might be a component of bias in there, but I like this scent so much. It's just very comforting. I like wearing it. It's a scent that you have to grow to understand. It's a scent that you have to discover. That is unfortunately detrimental to the brand itself, detrimental to the line. The whole Essences collection, in my opinion, is a line to be discovered. In order to accept it, you have to first and foremost see this collection as luxury. You have to be able to accept that these fragrances are built around the concept of unnecessary, uncompromising attention to detail. Once you've done that, you're ready to understand what these fragrances are all about. These fragrances are a node to the ingredients. They're not your typical Amouage. They're like a side quest, like a side project for Amouage. They're not from the same line. This is a statement piece. It's a statement piece to showcase Amouage's ability to craft something which is uncompromised. They're basically not cutting corners on anything, from the presentation to the quality of ingredients to the manufacturing process. Is it unnecessary? Is it a gimmick? Maybe, but I might add that 1% of value to these fragrances, which could be important to some people. I'm a fan of the brand. I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford these, so I'm all good. I'll be wearing these, I'll be enjoying these. I'm not saying that they're for everyone. I can't even recommend them because they're very specialized products, especially Reasons. Reasons is atypical. You have to understand that it's a grower, not a shower. That will always make me smile. But also you have to understand the fact that the subtleties in this is what makes the fragrance special. It's the dry down, it's the whole experience. If you're into perfumery for the wow effect, if you wear fragrances because you want to fill rooms, this is definitely not the product for you. This is a great fragrance from a great perfumer. Although I don't see much of his DNA in here, I still regard this as a really, really great buy for me and for people like me. I would suggest sampling this. Get yourself the Essences collection sample set and take your time. Be skeptical. In this case specifically, be skeptical of yourself, not the fragrances. Give them a lot of wears to really understand what these are about. And then if you're not for you, it's absolutely okay. Just move on to something else. I praise Amouage for their innovation. At least they're trying to do something new. Is it the best product ever? Not really. Is it the most affordable product ever? Not by any stretch of the imagination. Are these my favorite Amouage fragrances? Absolutely not. But I do respect the concept and I find myself weak to uncompromising products. And this one here is a great representation of that idea. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and it helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. It's never taken for granted. Many more reviews to come, many more fun fragrances to showcase. See you in the next one, and cheers.